privilege for me to be here before the Commission on an issue of such incredible, vital importance to our nation. By virtue of my position in the CIA, I am not a public person. Indeed, in the history of the CIA, no one in my position has ever testified publicly before. And like my colleagues here at the table, I'm a public servant dedicated to defending the security of our nation. For the last 5 years of my 30-year career in intelligence, I've had the honor of leading a unique organization, the Directorate of Operations, known to some of you as the Clandestine Service of America. I'm remarkably proud of this extraordinary group of dedicated professionals, their commitment and their accomplishments. Many of the men and women of my organization operate abroad in dangerous locales and always in secret. They cannot publicly appear before this commission. I'm here to represent all of them. The threat posed by terrorists prior to 9/11 was unambiguous. The threat was not just outlined in sensitive intelligence documents. Two highly regarded commissions, the Bremer Commission, the Hart-Rudman Commission, were prophetic in laying out in unclassified context the terrorist threats that we faced, including the possibility of terrorists inflicting mass casualties both overseas on American soil. 2.5 years ago, that adversary shattered the sense of security that the people of this country have come to cherish. We fought this enemy through the 1990s, but it was the tragedy of September 11 that unified and focused this country and allowed us to counter this threat as never before. The damage to al-Qaeda since that tragedy has been striking. The pre-9/11 al-Qaeda leadership almost gone. Bin Laden and Zawahiri in hiding. Clandestine operations at the heart of some of the most dramatic takedowns of the al-Qaeda organization. Covert action, working hand in glove with the U.S. military to oust the Taliban and al-Qaeda from Afghanistan in an intelligence and military partnership that already is seen as a model. I will answer all the questions you have today, but my first responsibility here is to look at where we are in this campaign and to give you a sense of where we are headed. As you know, I cannot publicly describe our operations in any detail, but I can give you, I hope, a clear sense of how we see things at this time and how we want to chart the next steps forward. As I paint this picture, I want to return to a few themes. One, working with partners here and abroad, we are in the midst of inflicting irrevocable damage on the al-Qaeda organization. Two, al-Qaeda has poisoned an international movement with an ideology that is fueling attacks from Madrid to Manila. Our mission will not end as long as members of this broad movement see the killing of innocents as an acceptable cost of achieving their ends. Three, the demise of bin Laden and al-Zawahiri will be a signpost, not a turning point. All of us, you, me, the American people, perhaps watching today, must realize that this is a war with no clear end in sight. Let me turn to where we are by taking a step back for a moment. Think back to October 2001 and imagine what you would have said if someone had described the following future to you. Taliban and al-Qaeda essentially ousted from Afghanistan, international recognition of new leadership in Afghanistan with a political process in place, periodic times of heightened alerts in this country, but no further attacks on our soil. About 3/4 of the al-Qaeda leadership gone. A worldwide coalition of partners, dozens and dozens, cooperating in a global, behind-the-scenes war of massive, indeed unprecedented proportions. Despite all we have left to do, the vision I just described is as real today as it was unimaginable even 30 months ago. The clandestine service I lead is at the heart of some of this transformation. Men and women who are committed to helping their countrymen regain some of the sense of security, the American way that was so tested in these past few years. Where does this leave us today? Where does it leave us in this campaign? This adversary is hurt, but by no means, though, through. I think al-Qaeda was surprised by the ferocity of our reaction to September 11. They had no coherent escape plan from Afghanistan. They fled east into and through Pakistan and west into and beyond Iran. They tried to reconstitute a command structure, and they failed. Pakistani cities are no longer a hub of senior leadership plotting, cleared of senior leaders by clandestine operations in partnership with Pakistan and its courageous leader, President Musharraf. Iran detained many of the leaders who fled west. As these leadership nodes eroded, the operational cells they directed or inspired in North America, the Arabian Peninsula, and Southeast Asia coiled to strike back. And they did in Bali, Saudi Arabia, East Africa, Morocco, and elsewhere. At an operational pace that was no less intense after September 11 than it was before. But our operations, in concert with our partners, are gaining ground against the core of al-Qaeda. Again, for a second, look back. 2.5 years ago, we would have listed our top concerns: Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Southeast Asia. And we remain concerned about extremists operating in those areas. But today, for example, almost every senior target is gone in Yemen, killed or captured. We have targeted leadership through smart operations, human sources, and joint work with partners: Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, Abu Zubaydah, Hambali, Nashiri, all senior al-Qaeda leaders or associates, all taken down directly as a result of human source operations that are the fuel for our successes today. Complementing these classic clandestine operations is a covert action capability that became critically important 2.5 years ago. My officers remain in the field in Afghanistan, today providing the intelligence eyes that are helping to drive the operations of our military partners. This capability did not appear overnight. Remember, our ability to move quickly in Afghanistan, one of the most successful covert actions ever, grew out of the strategic decision we made in the late 1990s to maintain a relationship with the Northern Alliance. The Washington end of this story today is no less vibrant. Visit my building. Let me tell you what you will see on covert action, interaction, and coordination with the U.S. military. That is not just regular, it is daily, every single working day. We talk with military field operators daily, and Pentagon civilian and military officers sit in our counterterrorist center privy to any operational detail we discuss. You would see the same cooperation with law enforcement. On any given day, some 20 full-time FBI officers sit in our counterterrorist center. They know our operations, they know our human agents. We still need to learn how to continue improving this partnership, but we started learning well before September 11th, when we first posted a senior FBI officer as one of the deputy directors in the center. We can and we will do better still. People outside this circle have access to what we know, including information about our operations. We provide our backbone database, a highly sensitive combination of intelligence reporting and operational detail, to officers across the community who are sitting in the Terrorist Threat Integration Center. And we have a large cadre of officers whose sole job now is to disseminate intelligence information to the intelligence community and beyond.
You're wrapping up, Mr.
Yes, sir. Well, let me wrap up by simply making a personal comment. Sitting behind me are family members of the victims of the terrible attacks. I told you that I represented the men and women of the Directorate Operations, those people who cannot be with me today, who cannot come before a camera and have their faces shown if they're going to do their jobs. But I want everyone to know, and I particularly want the families to know, that those men and women were working ceaselessly, day in and day out, in a frenetic pace that I personally observed, doing all they could to stop what we knew was coming. We extend to all of the family members our genuine and our heartfelt condolences for the extraordinary loss that this nation and they suffered on the 11th. We sounded an alarm. We knew the threat was lethal, unambiguous, and we knew it was coming at us. We put our hearts and our souls into disrupting and preventing those attacks. We did all we knew how to do, and we failed. We are committed to doing everything we can do as intelligence officers, as Americans, and to work with this commission to ensure that we do our best to never let that failure happen again. In my business, there is no perfection, but we will do everything we can to be as perfect